So we're diving into something pretty profound today. We're going to try and unlock a kind of secret blueprint for reality that's hidden inside the Bhagavad Gita, one of the world's most ancient and powerful spiritual texts. We're going to distill its wisdom to tackle a really big question. What if everything you see, everything you touch and feel, what if it's all just the surface layer, an echo of a much deeper, more fundamental reality? While the source we're looking at today argues that, yeah, absolutely, that there's this invisible architecture to the universe, and once you get it, you can go from being a pawn of fate to its master. So the source kicks things off with this really cool analogy. You know, in our physical world, how things look and how they really are, they're often completely disconnected, right? You could have totally messy hair, but be in a state of zen. Or you could be dressed perfectly while inside you're a total mess. But in this higher spiritual world, that gap just vanishes. There, form is function. The state of your, quote, inner hair, which is a metaphor for your soul, it perfectly mirrors what's going on inside you. This is the first big key. Just recognizing there's a truer world where things are exactly what they seem. Okay, so every reality needs its own set of physics, right? Its own rules. For this inner world, the Gita gives us the three gunas. Think of them as fundamental forces that shape every single action, every thought, every feeling you will ever have. Let's break them down. First up is sattva. This is the force of harmony and pure clarity. So picture a surgeon in the middle of a really complex operation. She's not thinking about the award she might win or worrying about failure. Her entire being is just focused on the action itself, done with pure, balanced intention. That crystal clear, detached focus, that's sattva. Then you've got rajas. This is the engine of passion, of ambition. Think of an entrepreneur who is just relentlessly driven to build a billion-dollar empire. The energy is huge, right? But it is completely tied to the result, the money, the recognition, the win. This is that I've got to have it energy that pretty much fuels our modern world, but it almost always comes with a heavy dose of stress and attachment. And finally, there's tamas. This is the force of darkness, of inertia. This is that feeling when you know you should get up and go to the gym, but instead you just stay on the couch, mindlessly scrolling. It's that fog of confusion that makes you put things off or make bad choices just because you can't be bothered to think clearly. It's just that feeling of being completely stuck. Now check this out. Look at how these three forces can totally transform the exact same act, giving up on a duty. If you quit just out of laziness or confusion, that's tamas. And you actually go backwards spiritually. If you quit because you're afraid of how hard it's going to be, that's rajas, and you just end up stuck. But look at sattva. It reframes giving up. You're not quitting the action. You're giving up your attachment to how it turns out. That one little mental shift, that's the key that turns a dead end into an act of freedom. So once you can see these forces at play, the obvious next question is, well, what do I do with this? How do I use them? The answer is tied to one of the Gita's biggest concepts, your duty. But the source we're looking at says we've been thinking about duty all wrong and offers a pretty radical update to this ancient idea. Your innate duty, your swadharma, it's not about what family you were born into or what job you're supposed to have. That's a really old, rigid way of looking at it. The deeper, more modern meaning is that your duty is the unique mission that your soul actually chose for this specific lifetime. It's something that is deeply, authentically you. So what does this mission actually look like? Well, the source breaks it down. Your first duty is actually to yourself, to go find and live out your truest, most authentic desires. But it doesn't stop there. Your second duty is to turn that personal fulfillment outward, to use it to contribute to the world. And this leads to an amazing idea, that the simple act of existing is already a form of contribution, a kind of sacred sacrifice. And this is where it gets really wild. The source takes this idea of sacrifice and makes it shockingly literal. It argues that a true sacrifice isn't some grand dramatic gesture. Nope, it's happening right now. Your body is constantly shedding hair and nails and skin cells. This isn't just a biological fact. The source says we should see this as a constant physical offering you are making to the great cosmic cycle. All of a sudden, Just being alive becomes this profound, ongoing sacred ritual. Okay, so we have the cosmic forces, we have our true mission, we've got all the building blocks. Now, we put them together and learn how to make that incredible shift from being a slave to our fate to becoming its creator. Here's the most important part to get. The physical world and the spiritual world work on totally different scales. Think of our physical reality as being incredibly dense, like it's all compressed down. What that means is that even a tiny conscious action here, one choice, one small gesture, one focused intention, it can unleash a ridiculously massive effect in that less dense spiritual realm. And just how massive an effect are we talking about? The source gives us this staggering, almost mind-bending number to give us a sense of the scale. 10 to the power of 81. I mean, that's more than the number of atoms in the entire known universe. Now, obviously, this isn't a math equation. It's a metaphor meant to show you the insane leverage you have. Your smallest conscious act, like offering up a trimmed fingernail with intention, is like releasing a tightly coiled spring. The physical movement is tiny, but the spiritual energy it unleashes is just boundless. This is your hidden superpower.
This hidden power brings you to this fundamental choice point. You can have a slave mentality or a master mentality. The slave sees life as something that happens to them. They're a victim. The master understands that life happens through them. They are the cause. And here's the most radical bit. The source argues that the very act of thinking this happened to me is, in that exact moment, a choice you are making for bondage.
So how do you actually make the switch? The source gives us a pretty clear 3-step path. First, you take back your past. You see fate as just your own past choices coming back around. Second, you decode your present. You start treating every single thing that happens as a message sent from your higher self to your current self. And finally, you create your future by acting with the conscious intention of a creator. You stop waiting for good things to happen and start causing them. You stop being the victim and become the cause. And when you really lean into this master mentality, the line between what's mundane and what's cosmic it dissolves. Every single choice, no matter how tiny it seems, becomes this huge act of creation with massive spiritual ripples. The ordinary becomes completely extraordinary. And this brings it all right down to this very moment, to the simplest things we do every day. The source leaves us with this question. Your next choice for lunch, is it really just about the food? Or, if you look at it through this blueprint, is it actually a fundamental choice between harmony and inertia, between sattva and tamas, between light and darkness? If every choice is cosmic, then the answer is, it's everything.